Wow, I am live. Good morning, everybody. This is a new one for me. This is kind of weird. This is my first time actually physically going live on YouTube. So it's fun to be part of something new. Hello to you if you're up bright and early this bank holiday Monday morning. My name is Emma Desi. I'm an author. I'm a book coach, which means I help first-time writers write their first novel because we need it. Many of us need it. We need that accountability. We need someone just to hold our hand through the process, someone to reassure us that we're doing all right, we are doing okay, and help us get towards the end. And that's all great and fine when you're on a roll and you've got somebody who you are accountable to, and you're getting the pages down, you're writing, and you're moving forward in your book. But it's not so great when you've kind of fallen off the wagon a bit. And it's something that I've certainly experienced many, many times in my writing life, and also a little bit recently as well. So life had sort of taken a turn, as it does for all of us. It's taken a little bit of a turn, and I had less time to spend on my writing as I would normally want to do. So when you've been off that wagon for a bit, when you've lost the momentum and you've maybe lost a little bit of the mojo that you had going on, it can be hard to jump back on, can't it? It can feel very, very difficult. It can feel like this uphill journey that you're trying to start climbing again, and getting started is the most difficult thing. And I was sort of prompted to talk about this today because I've just started working with, or I'm about to start working with somebody who's going to help me just get a little bit fitter and a little bit stronger to try and tackle the many ailments that I have as I'm getting a little bit older. And one of the elements that she's helping me with is just looking at my nutrition and my diet to see if that has any impact on the migraines that I get. And so she's given me a nutrition plan and a diet plan. And so my question to her was, well, okay, well, what happens though if I go out for the day and I'm not at home and I can't eat the meals that, she's prepared for me or suggested that I have, or if I'm going out for dinner to a restaurant, those days where life is out of its routine and I'm not fully in control of what's going on. What do I do then? What's the best thing? And so she said to me, well, you get back into the rhythm, you get back into the plan around the time that you have out. So if I am going out for the day and I can't eat for lunch, for example, what I might normally have, then you just sort of carry on up until that point with the plan that you've got. And then once the blip is over, you just carry on as before. And I thought, that is just so so similar for us writers. And that is exactly the advice I would give to any of you who have found yourself, and myself as well, me, who's found myself falling off the wagon, not in that flow of writing regularly, is to get back on and just do a little bit at a time. So even though you may have found that you've lost that mojo a bit and you're unfamiliar actually with the story that you've been writing, well, you just start at the beginning. You just take your time. There's no rush here. It's a long haul process, isn't it? Just like getting fit, losing weight, remedying an ailment that you've got. It takes a bit of time because it takes a long time to build up, so it's going to take equally the same amount of time to kind of get rid of it. And it's the same with the blip. So if you've had this writing blip, if you've fallen off the wagon for quite a while, so for some of you it might even be years, but even if it's a question of months or weeks and you've fallen off that, then it's going to take a bit of time for you to get back into your flow and into your groove again. And so one of the things I would suggest to you is just start by reading what you've written. Now, caveat here, you're going to be reading what you've written. You're not editing what you've written, because you're reminding yourself that this is first draft material. You are just trying to get the story down on the page. You're not looking for perfection. You're not looking for the finished product that you might see on a shelf. You are just getting the basics of the story down. You're telling yourself the story first of all. So read that story. Read what you have written so far, but you read it with the acknowledgement that this is a first draft, and you're not going to start delving into tweaking and fixing things that do not yet need to be fixed, because you're not at that stage yet. So start by reading the story that you've written so far, and then you carry on. So then you're back into it. This is why it's so important, is you get back into your story, because I know from my own experience that if I take a period of time away from first drafting particularly, I forget what I've written. I forget who's in the story. Who's the story even about? Who's in their life? What's the problem? What's going on? I've forgotten characters' names. I've forgotten what they've done up until the point I stopped. So by going back and just taking however long it might take, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, to just read what you've written so far will get you back into the story. And often you'll come back to it rejuvenated, reignited, and got some new ideas for the story as well, which can then zhuzh up that mojo that you need, that motivation that you need to help you carry on. And then once you've read it, and once you've got up to that point where you took the break, where you fell off the wagon, where you had the blip, then you just carry on as before. And you do a little bit at a time, because it might be that before you had your blip and fell off the wagon, you could actually write for a considerable period of time in any one go. You might have got up to sort of 40, 45 minutes. Don't put that pressure on yourself again. If you need to go back to the beginning almost and just do 10 minutes at a time until you build up that writing muscle again, then do that. Don't feel bad about that. Don't compare it to where you were before you fell off the wagon, because you'll get back up to that point pretty quickly. But you just need to allow yourself that space and that breathing room to do so. And don't put yourself under that pressure, because then undoubtedly you'll feel like you're failing and then you'll want to give up again. But I want to acknowledge that it takes effort to get back into it, to get back into that writing groove. But it's worth making that effort. It really, really is worth making that effort, because once you're back into it, then it becomes easier. So like for me, doing this new sort of health regime, this is going to be tricky. And bizarrely, one of the trickiest things I'm finding is switching out my caffeine and having green tea. I'm not a green tea fan, but this is what she's told me to do, my coach, and I really want to fix this problem. So I'm willing to take something I'm not particularly keen on at the moment and give it a period of time for my taste buds to adjust, and then see how we get on. I'm willing to try it. And I want you to do the same for your writing. Be willing to try, getting back up on the wagon again, getting going with your writing, so that you can then carry on and at the very least finish that first draft of the story. And then once you've done that and you've told yourself the story, you can make the decision from there whether you're going to go on and revise and rewrite and do all that's needed to get it out in the world, or maybe not. Maybe the story is going to be your apprenticeship story and it'll be the next book you write that you decide to put out in the world. But either way, get back on that wagon, get going again, and it'll be well worth the effort when you finish that story. All right, take care and happy May, everybody. I'll see you soon.